思い出せねえ
I wanted a normal life, to laugh without guilt, to breathe without feeling like the world was closing in. But that wasn't an option. Not for me. Not for any of us.
What if the hero that you rooted for became the very monster that he swore to destroy? Eren Yeager, he isn't just another anime protagonist. He's a question wrapped in rage, freedom, and tragedy. Was he fighting for liberation, or just trapped in a cycle of violence that no one could break? I think that he's a very well-written character, and although you may think you understand him and his motives, there are many ways of interpreting Eren's character as just or unjust by the way you think of him, which is why I think it's worth really breaking down his character. Essentially, all Titan shifters can inherit fragments of their predecessors' memories, but these are often hazy, disjointed, or even vague emotions rather than clear images or events. Eren only fully experiences Grisha's memories of receiving the attack titan from Kruger after he sees the books in the basement, when the information inside them triggers a more complete recollection in a dream. The attack titan, he's unique because it can receive memories from its future inheritors, and when connected to the founder through the paths, those memories can be sent to the specific points in time, effectively allowing it to glimpse the future. Before this, Eren never really saw Grisha's memories from Marley because he had no framework or expectations for what those memories meant. He knew nothing about Marley, so nothing in his mind could pull those memories into focus. Eren only witnesses his future memories when he touches Historia's hands during the ceremony, because the attack titan's ability to see both past and future inheritors' memories is dramatically amplified in contact with royal blood, and in general all titan powers are heightened around royal blood. In that moment, he clearly sees Grisha's past as well as memories of the rumbling and the events of the next 4 years. Eren does not see his future by sending memories directly to his younger self. He cannot do that. Instead, he sends memories to Grisha, which Eren later accesses clearly when he touches Historia's hand. Eren also sends memories of Mikasa and Armin to Kruger, which is why Kruger tells Grisha he must go to Paradise and inherit the Attack Titan to save Mikasa and Armin, essentially setting in motion the chain of events that leads to Eren's own birth. And as a side note, Kruger's line about the Attack Titan,
"Throughout history, this Titan's marched in the vanguard. It has ever pushed forward, seeking freedom, and for freedom's sake, it fights."
This suggests that this relentless drive for freedom across generations is ultimately rooted in Eren himself. When Eren touches Zeke to trigger the rumbling, he perceives the past, present, and future all at once through the past, now empowered by the founding titan, and the experience is chaotic and overwhelming. It's at this point that he realizes he will not fully succeed with the rumbling. Previously though, when he touched Historia's hand, he only saw the rumbling up to its apex, his moment of freedom, because that is the memory that he chooses to send back to Grisha for his own younger self to see. Now fully connected to the past as the founding titan, Eren travels with Zeke through Grisha's memories while Zeke tries to prove that their father molded and brainwashed Eren into who he became. Eren, however, knows that this isn't true in the way Zeke imagines. His fixation on freedom existed long before Grisha's influence, something primal and inborn rather than planted. When Grisha stands before the Reese family in the chapel, Eren begins projecting memories of his present self watching that very moment, speaking to Grisha, pressuring him, guiding him back into Grisha's mind in the past. Grisha can't physically see Eren there, but he can perceive Eren's memories from Eren's own viewpoint and hear his voice, as if himself is living those future moments. Under the weight of these visions and Eren's instance, Grisha massacres the Reese family only to break downward afterward in a horror and remorse at what he's done. He also receives memories of the rumbling that leave him terrified, but Eren must send these visions so that his future self can later access them clearly when he touches Historia's hand. By overwhelming Grisha with the images of what has to happen and the supposed necessity of Eren inheriting a titan, Eren manipulates him into ejecting his 10-year-old son with the serum, setting up the moment where Eren devours him and takes the attack titan. Eren further interferes by directing Dina's pure titan to eat his mother instead of Bertolt, ensuring Bertolt's survival so the timeline can play out in exactly the way needed for Eren to eventually begin the rumbling. This choice fuels Eren's hatred of titans even more, propelling him along the exact path that accumulates in the story we see. From this, we can infer that Eren has likely interfered with numerous events throughout the story, quietly manipulating the Titans and key moments to ensure that the timeline converges on the rumbling. The Eren controlled everything idea. It's possible that many, if not most, of the Titan battles on Paradise were influenced in some way by Eren's actions through the paths. Once Eren fully awakens the powers of the Founder, he demonstrates that he can use the paths to communicate with every Eldian, connecting all of them through this invisible network beyond time and space. Eren, he wakes up crying in chapter 1 because on some level, he has just dreamed about everything that will happen. Even if the details vanish that moment he opens his eyes, much like how we often forget the dreams when we wake up in the morning. Eren's character motivations paint him as a deeply childish and emotional person, driven by a warped sense of justice and an extreme black and white worldview. Even after learning that the people beyond the walls are not purely evil, he remained bound to this obsessive desire for freedom and the future he believed he could not escape. Eren is not a good person in a moral sense. The vast destruction and countless deaths are the direct result of his inherent need to chase freedom at any cost. He is an anti-hero. We cannot justify his actions, but we can empathize and sympathize with his pain, his confusion, and the way he suffers under the weight of his choices. You can love his character and find him compelling without pretending that what he did was right. At the core, his reasons for initiating the rumbling were twofold: his own freedom and the wish to grant his friends long, peaceful lives. He chooses to prioritize a small circle of loved ones and his own distorted desires and emotions over billions of other lives. That choice is unforgivable on a moral level, yet it remains psychologically understandable. He has reasons, even if they are selfish and catastrophic. His obsession with freedom ties directly into Kenny's idea that everyone is a slave to something, clinging to it to keep moving forward. Eren embodies this completely. He keeps moving forward in pursuit of freedom, but that very pursuit overwhelms, controls, and consumes him. It suggests that anyone could be swallowed by a desire that powerful. We can only hope that what consumes us is less destructive to ourselves and others. And ironically enough, Eren is never truly free because he becomes a slave to the very concept of freedom. His longing is so absolute that it imprisons him instead of liberating him. Another major motivation behind the rumbling is his wish to make Paradise untouchable, ensuring that the outside world cannot destroy the island and his friends can live out their days in safety and relative happiness. He does not initially know he will be stopped and killed. That realization only comes after he obtains the Founding Titan's power, and he sees the past, present, and future all at once through the paths. Once he understands his friends will eventually defeat him, he decides to lean into that outcome, shaping events so that they become the heroes who save the world by killing him. He fully accepts the role of the villain and intends for all hatred and blame to be concentrated on him alone. Eren's plan also has a political and symbolic layer. He hopes to reduce global hatred by becoming the single enemy everyone can unite against, then making the world effectively indebted to Paradise because its soldiers are the ones who brought him down. In this way, he tries to position Paradise similar to how the Tibers were revered in Marley after fighting a common enemy. On top of that, part of his goal is to end the power of the Titans altogether, knowing that Ymir will only let go if she witnesses Mikasa kill him. For Eren, freedom ultimately becomes about erasing the Titan curse and later trying to dismantle the cycle of hatred that Titans created between Eldians and the rest of humanity. Only then can he reach the vision that once inspired him as a child, the world beyond the walls that Armin showed him in that book, a world he was desperate to see, no matter the cost. He doesn't actually have a fascination with the sea or desert or whatever itself, he just wants to have the freedom to see it. He says people who can see this are the freest people in the world. He believes and says this many times because he was born into this world where he wasn't given freedom. He believes that everyone should be free and that he should be free. This relates to how he says he was born in this way, wanting freedom from day one. He hates people who are cattle / go with the crowd and are passive in their lives, letting the world dictate them like slaves. He wanted complete freedom and free will. He didn't want anything to be able to stop him from doing what he wants, and the other nations were stopping him from doing what he wants. At first, Titans were the thing getting in the way of his freedom, so then he fought them. Then the Titans were humans, and he fought them as well. And then it was the humans inside the walls. He found out that they existed, and the world wasn't free for him to explore and go to, because civilizations were built and everyone hated Eldians. He wanted the freedom to be able to go anywhere and see anything without the civilizations there. Because of all the civilizations built and the hatred towards the Paradise Island, Eren couldn't do this. This is why the other solutions for staying alive, like a small-scale rumbling and feeding Historia to her kids to maintain the Titan shifter with royal blood, wasn't enough, because that freedom wasn't really truly freedom. It was just survival, and it was cruel because of the cannibalism they required. Same with the cruelty of Zeke's euthanasia plan. That's not freedom for them to go anywhere. When they go to the beach, after finding out that humans exist outside the walls, Eren was disappointed, and he later describes that at that moment he wanted to wipe out everything away and get his free world. Eren wanted to fight the entire world and for the world to be flattened so there would be no more Titans or hatred. He'd be free to do anything he wanted, and he plus the people he loved could live long lives. If theoretically he killed everyone, then no one would ever hate Eldians or come to kill him or his friends or take away their freedom. If he killed everyone, he could get the free world he envisioned since being a kid that he wanted and wished for. The complicated world would be gone, and he would be free. The world without the rumbling was not the free world he dreamed of. He acknowledges maybe it would be better if Paradis were annihilated and Eldians died out because less people would die, but he can't accept this. He needs to be free. I think season 4 wasn't him faking being sad and cold, but him generally being cold and miserable. He was in a spiral of depression after his illusions of free will was taken by him after already having seen the future where he activates the rumbling. He is also sad because he knows that the people he will kill don't deserve it, but he's going to do it anyway. He then pushes his friends away because he feels guilty and doesn't want to associate them with it, because as bad as he is, he acknowledges it. Eren knows how awful this is, and yet he does it anyway because it's in his nature, and he knows he can't change the future. We see him try to test if the future changes from the memories he's seen. When he tests multiple times that the future can be changed, he is repeatedly sent into depression when he realizes that it won't work. This is why he asks what Sasha's last words were, and when it's what he saw in his memories, he laughs because he sees how inevitable everything is. When he asks Mikasa, "What am I to you?" he wants her to say something that will make the future change and not be what he saw in his memories, and let him escape from the inevitability of his actions. He was begging for her to give him an out from the rumbling and to change the future. If Mikasa says she loved him, then the rumbling would no longer have to be a fixed future, and Eren could maybe be happy loving Mikasa without killing everyone. Maybe if she said that she loved him, her love could be more important than freedom itself. Eren found solace in knowing Reiner was the same as him, and once Reiner admitted this during the conversation in Liberio, Eren turned into a Titan and went through with the first part of destruction that leads to the rumbling. He wanted to know if Reiner's breaking of Wall Maria was not to save the world, but was Reiner's own selfish desire to be a hero. Reiner confesses it was, and that confirmed that Eren and him were the same, and that he was about to kill the world for his own desire of freedom, not for the good of the Eldian Empire. It relates to how Reiner, after being in the walls, became a half-assed piece of shit because he knew that they weren't devils, and he helped them sometimes, but he still attacked them even though he knew it was wrong. Looking at a similar situation with Eren, he saves Ramsay from being beat, and he hates himself for behaving like a righteous hero by doing it when he knows he's gonna kill Ramsay later. Like Reiner hated himself. That's why Eren cried to Ramsay. Eren, after being in Marley, knows that they're not bad people, but he will still move forward and kill his enemies. Now that he got confirmation from Reiner, he could massacre Liberio and get the Warhammer Titan. Eren is presented as a child in the freedom panel to signify that he is achieving the freedom his younger self dreamed of, and that he has reverted to his younger version of himself, that he is unaware of anything except a desire for freedom, in order to ignore the actual atrocity of what he's doing and the people dying below him. Everything that did happen in the future he saw was bound to happen anyway because of his ambition and personality. The whole Attack on Titan story itself debates nature versus nurture, and the reality of free will, mainly through Eren. Eren was blind to anything but his own views of the world and his own feelings about himself and the people that he loved. He was rash and reckless and selfish and angry because he was so committed to the set notions he had about the world and himself and how strongly he held those. He just happened to live in a world where his desire for freedom manifested into these actions. A sad thing is that I think even if Eren did do the entire rumbling and survived, he would at first be ecstatic and happy for his freedom, but then he'd get bored without something to fight for. For him, he lived to fight for freedom, and he'd be empty without it. This is evident in the school Oi Isayama wrote, where Eren is completely bored and has dreams of having an apocalyptic event where he could fight for freedom. Eren needs to fight. He needs to keep moving forward, and he needs something to fight for. He says when he's talking about Falco in the hospital that most people go to war because others tell them to, or for a better situation, but some go to war by pushing themselves in search of greater meaning. They push themselves because of their inner drive to find what's on the other side of the hell they're fighting for, hope or another hell. He believes that this is moving forward. The only way to get through the fight and find out what happens after is to move forward. Also taking this chance to say that Armin could be considered the best character because he held on to his dream of freedom when he saw the outside world. He could still mold that to what they saw and use it to fulfill his dreams. The ironic thing is people say he changed too much in season 4, but after what he found out in season 3, it was the only way he could have gone because his base desire and values and the things he cares about have always been the same since he was a kid. He has found out more about the world around him. Eren, he cares about very few things, but the amount he cares about them is so intense he would quite literally do anything for it. And so in conclusion, Eren is probably one of the most tragic characters ever. He is definitely one of my favorite characters in anime and in Attack on Titan, and of course I wish he got to be half P, but I still find myself very satisfied with his character arc and ending because it made sense and it was a brilliant written story.